Everyone, and welcome to the Contingency Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David, and with me as always is Darth Austin.
Hello, everyone.
Well, folks, another week down, and we are going to be a couple of complete nerds this week as we dive into comics.
Comic books. Yeah, it's an awesome.
You know, we never, I think we kind of talked about this a little bit last week, but you know, just to sort of reiterate a bit, we didn't really grow up reading comics. I mean, we read books, obviously played games and stuff like that, but we never really got into the comic side of things. So, and I don't know about you, but I never really had like the highest opinion of comics because really the short story, more visual, picturesque, you know, style. But the comic book we're going to go over today, which is the first 10 issues of the new Marvel main Star Wars line, 2020 Star Wars line, has actually, I think, been pretty good. So, but yeah, I mean, you never really were into comics much either, were you?
No, I really wasn't. I feel like it's probably for the same reason. I like to visualize things in my own head when I'm reading. I don't really like to have all that laid out in front of me. And I prefer long form storytelling over little quick, you know, I don't know, 5-minute stories. I mean, what's the average time to finish one of these for you? It usually took 5-10 minutes to go through one. But honestly, this might be changing my opinion on comics a bit. I mean, I don't have a lot of background. I haven't read many, so maybe I was just reading the wrong ones growing up, but I've really enjoyed this. I thought it was a really good series, so art style is beautiful.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I think that at times the illustrations are what capture people in comics because it is a very specific art style, and it can also really bring in whoever the illustrator is, a lot of their creativity and the variance in between certain folks who write on that. And also matching panels with the story, you know, the mesh between the writer and then the illustrator, I think is a very interesting an interesting relationship. That obviously with a book, it's an author. You know, sometimes you have co-authors or ghost writers and stuff like that. But yeah, a comic is a very, very different thing. So
yeah, and I mean that can actually add another layer to the storytelling, like you said. Yeah. I mean, I'm just loaded up the first page of issue 1 just to get a baseline, and like. The first picture is Luke's hand being cut off, and that's something we all remember but don't really think about all that much. But the art style on it really gives new gravity to what's happening. So,
yeah, 100%. So that's going to be the name of the game today. Obviously, we will, you know, continue our High Republic run through next week. With Into the Dark, that obviously released this week, so that was cool. There was another High Republic comic that came out, which we'll probably talk about during next week's episode as well, and then continue on, you know, with new Jedi Order and get into Resistance towards the end of the month. Do a little season 1 walkthrough because it's something we really haven't done. So it's not something we jumped into. But
Have you actually started watching it yet?
No, No, not yet. I'll do it week of.
Yeah,
so
I haven't either.
I'll do it week of, so it's fresh in
Yeah.
my brain. That's normally how I like to do any of our prep stuff. Is the week of. So you're gonna forget details, specifically names or planets.
Oh, for sure.
But
Which has never been our strong suit.
no, but I like to have the
definitely
general
our friend for all these episodes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of what's obviously coming up. Make sure to follow all the good old social media. At TC Plan Podcast, Twitter, Facebook. All that good junk. So how was your week?
Cold, very cold and slippery.
Yeah.
We got
the winter finally
probably
came
the
down.
worst snowstorm, the old snowstorm of 21. Tell my grandkids about it.
Yeah.
No, we've had a few really good years here in Ohio, so this is probably the worst we've had, so I can't complain. But other than that, not a whole lot happened. I finally got to the eye doctor for the first time in a few years, so they berated me on that and told me how terrible my eyes have become, so that's great. Other than that, just reading some comics. I finally started Squadrons. A buddy of mine was kind enough to gift me a copy of it, so I got through the tutorial and the first couple missions of that.
How you liking it?
There are some things they did really well. I really like how they integrated switching between shields and engines and, lasers. I think that was all really well done. Some of the storytelling is decent. Mm-hmm. There are some weird things about it, though, like when you're out of the ship and you're, like, interacting with your crew members or anything, it's almost like an old 1990s computer adventure game where you, like, look around but you don't move and you're like 50 feet from a door, and then you just click on that door and you open it and go through. It's just kind of weird how they do some things.
Yeah.
The character creator was odd. I had the option to have a female body and a male head. I thought that was kind of funny.
Interesting.
Good old Disney. I think it has potential. I haven't played any of the multiplayer yet, but I might actually give it a chance. I know we've been kind of down on that, but I don't know. Those games were never really our big thing growing up, though, truthfully. We didn't do a lot of flight simulators.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm still not really convinced yet. I don't think I want to spend the money on it personally. But yeah, keep us updated. Obviously, I'm sure some of you listening have probably already played it, but yeah, let us kind of know what you thought. But yeah, very, very snowy. It's been progressive. I've had to, shovel at least 3 times, and I do my neighbors too, and that's been not great. Everybody always talks about it was the blizzard of '78. That was the worst bout of snow. We're talking like, several.
Your door is completely covered.
Yeah, several $1 million worth of damage. Legitimately, people died during that storm. This was. It wasn't like terrible, but it was a lot of snow. I'll definitely say that it was a lot.
It was a lot of days. It was a lot of days of it just compounding.
Yeah. Well, it was like 3-4 straight days of snow, and then so you'd shovel, and then you'd have to, reshovel the same amount the next day.
The drifts. It was just the drifts that really caught people off guard, I think.
Yeah, and we should be relatively used to that in Ohio. We get snow. That's something that does happen here. But we've had a couple of really mild winters, so yeah. I don't know. Overall, it hasn't been all that bad. But yeah, it was certainly one of the better snows that we've had in the past couple years. Coupled with the fact that it was pretty cold as well too. So
yes.
Yeah, if you aren't already staying inside, you're inside now.
Gives you more reason to.
Yeah, for sure.
Good time to catch up on some of our content. Maybe, get a few comics. Go to Comixology if you can. Order them. Stuck inside.
Well, and that was something we can talk about as well. So back when we did do some comic stuff. But mainly me and you weren't really talking about it on the show. So that was back when the age of comics were coming out, like Age of the Republic, Resistance, and so forth. And I would buy doubles, and I would give you the doubles.
Yeah.
But we never really discussed them on the show. And there have been 4 big series that have popped out in 2020. So obviously the one we're going to talk about, the main Star Wars line reboot, which I believe the previous iteration had 75 issues, something like that. And then another reboot of Vader, Dr. Aphra reboot of that comic series, and then the Bounty Hunters series. And now we're getting High Republic series as well. So there's actually a lot moving and shaking in the comic book world. But the thing is I didn't really think about getting you doubles. And some of the early issues of these series are just gone.
Pre-ordering any of them either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much impossible
they're gone.
to find them. It's not even a matter of the price, you know?
Right. Now, I found a couple for you. I mean, I do have some, at least of the main Star Wars line, maybe some of Vader, but we really weren't doing any of that, and I figured it would be kind of a cool thing for us to jump into. But yeah, finding actual physical copies is kind of difficult. Now, I think one of the comic shops in town has more than he lets on, but the only reason he doesn't let on is because it's all like sitting in stacks in the back of his shop, and it's just so disorganized. Like we have 2 shops, and I don't think you've been in either one when we've been here, but there's the nice clean one, which is like everything's in perfect order and all the old issues are in boxes that are just put away really nicely. And then you have the second shop, which is just like a tornado ran through, and there's just stuff everywhere.
Which isn't a terrible business platform because it's a good way to make you discover other things while you're trying to find something. It's like, oh, well, I'll get this too.
Yeah,
why not?
I mean, really, the most annoying thing about that is I don't think he orders enough of each comic. And so normally if I get out on Wednesday, it's usually later in the day because, I work and then I usually try and work out after work. And then, so by the time it's like 7:00 and it's the end of the day and I'm lucky to get an issue. And the one thing that I had to do this week, because issue 11 of the main Star Wars line did come out, you have one. But I am ordering one for myself because the only, and you can order another one if you want, if you don't like this cover. But the thing is the only one he had left was the variant cover, the toy variant cover, and it's Max Rebo.
Yeah.
And it's like I just didn't want that one. I wanted the actual one.
Right.
But so you have one if you want it. I'm just saying that was the only one he had left.
Okay.
And the cool thing I will say about him, though, he always makes sure to order some of each cover. So you can get the cool covers, whereas the Nice Neat shop only gets the main cover. And they only get like 2 or 3, but they don't sell them. I mean, I could probably go in there now, and I should, and I more than likely will today after we get done here because I need to run into town. But I was thinking about that. It's like I really haven't went to that shop in a long time, and the main reason is because I get weird vibes from the owners. It's like I'm not quite nerdy enough apparently for this shop, and it
you're not welcome.
Well, it feels odd because like I'm a naturally kind of a mistrustful person anyway. I don't really I dispense with pleasantries a lot because it's like, why are you talking to me? Why are you trying to be?
Right.
I mean, like, I sold a guitar recently, and the guy came over and he picked it up and he was playing it and he saw some of my my lighting stuff. He's like, "Oh, you're a photographer." I was like, "You better get out of this house real quick because if you think you're scoping this thing, I will shank you." It's like, I don't want to have conversation. Just buy the guitar or not.
The advertisement did not include new friendship.
Yeah, and I think at some points, like maybe I give off that vibe elsewhere where it's like maybe I'm not all that friendly, and sometimes I'm not because I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to buy your comics. But I think at times I have like resting bitch face. You know what I mean? I think I do because at times it's just like, what do you want? I mean, can I help you? No. You need any help find anything? I just said no. Like, what do you want from me? I don't want your help. You know. So anyway,
it's funny, you know, your town has such nicer people. I feel like it's the exact opposite for me. I'll try to be friendly with someone in a store in my town. They'll look like you're, you know, you have 4 eyes or something. It's just
well, you do. You do have 4 eyes, so
we both do. It's funny. It's very funny.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, you talking about getting an updated prescription? I probably need to go in too. But get you some of those blue light.
You might need your. Oh, I did.
Get the blue light blockers, man.
I already ordered some.
I have a backup pair of them.
I ordered 2 pair off Zenny. I got the nicest setup possible. I think it was only like $100 for both, and it would have been like $800 at the eye doctor.
It's great.
Half that at Walmart.
It's great,
so
and
it's awesome.
Yeah, you have a more complicated prescription than me. That site does some good. It's a good service, man. A lot cheaper glasses.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think the eye doctor knew I was doing that because right after I got checked, I was like, "Okay, can you give me a copy of the prescription?
Yeah.
Can you give me that?" They're like, "Why do you need that?" I need that. I'll see you in a year.
Yeah.
And they only gave me one of the 2 prescriptions I need because I need a driving pair and I need a work pair that's trifocal. And I look at it, it's like, this is only one prescription. They knew what I was doing. I'm going to have to go back there, and I don't even know which prescription I ordered.
100%. That's
so
exactly
I might not
why.
need that blue light. It might be for driving.
I mean, just tell them it's like I'm just shopping around. I just want to make sure I get the best price or whatever. But honestly, again, going back to me, I would have been like, why do you need it? It's like, it's my prescription. Give it to me now.
Yeah, I paid for it.
I mean, why is this even a question? Yeah, I've done that. I've done that too.
Well, it's like regardless of if you choose to buy there or not, it's like, okay, so I just spent $100 for this exam. I didn't spend it so you keep it on log in case I might buy glasses here.
Yeah.
I need it. You know, that's the whole point of this. So
yeah, I mean, I remember
they're making money either way.
True, and I remember getting glasses like for the first time, and this was down on the main. It's not there anymore, but they were down on the main road near that big church. As you're just getting into like the main drive. I'm not giving road names. But anyway, it was just a little house. And I don't know. I think that the church actually bought it now, but it used to be an eye doctor. So I remember going there and like picking out glasses, and like even back then they were like $100 minimum. But now it's worse. So yeah, I haven't bought glasses from an eye doctor in probably more than a decade. And you know what? You look on that site, that's just Zenny Optical. Dude, get yourself a set of prescription sunglasses, man. It is a game changer, and they're not that expensive there. It's absolutely wild.
Well, and it's nice not having to worry so much about a pair like this has to last me 3 years because I spent like, $500 on it. No, I can break them. It's $50. It's fine. Oh no.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean that's obviously a lot of riveting conversation for our for our listeners, I'm sure. But well, yeah, I mean,
listen, we got a lot of nerds here. I'm guessing there's a few with glasses and they can relate.
Yeah, we don't have a promo code for you or anything, so sorry. They're not sponsoring this.
We're just a nerd version of Joe Rogan. We want to connect to people on multiple levels, whether that be fitness or lifestyle. Word. Or is this just being grouchy in stores and buying glasses?
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I'm going to go out and search a little bit today, see if I can't plug some of the holes for the comic series. Eventually, I can get down and get those to you. But yeah, the main Star Wars line definitely has become a little bit tougher to buy. And because of COVID, they're not doing a ton of the reprinting like maybe you would have seen in prior iterations. Even like some of the early Vader stuff, it's pretty tough because those series have been popular.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that kind of goes back to the whole comicsology thing. It's like you and I growing up, we were definitely collections people. We love having our collections, whether it be of movies, video games, action figures, now comics potentially. And it's a subscription for access based world now. And comicsology is a really cool service. I've been trying that out for a little while now. I've got this entire series. I was able to import my Kindle library as well. The prices are good. I think I got the entire 11 comics in the series for maybe $18.
Yeah.
So it's a good option if you're not into having a collection. For me, it bothers me because I know I'm buying this because you can't get it, and eventually I'm going to want to own the actual physical copy, but it is an alternative, and right now it's pretty hard to get comics, so I'd highly recommend the service to anyone trying to get into the comic world. There's a lot of free reads. The first few and most series are usually free to read. So
yeah,
I think
the only hang up
fans who can't get it.
Yeah, I think the only hang up that some people have, and the reason why folks still want to buy the physical comics is because, one, Comixology is owned by Amazon. And you are paying a lot less. So from a consumer standpoint, it's great. From an actual like artist standpoint, not as great.
It's not.
But yeah, I mean, it is very convenient, especially if you want to go back and look at series. That much is for sure. So I would agree with that. At least something to think about. 100%.
Yeah, I would definitely say for your older series, maybe start there, especially when you're talking about getting 75 comics. But definitely try and support, whether it be your authors for a book or a comic. Buying a physical copy is going to get them the most money per unit sold, opposed to all these subscription services. Just like, you pay for your unlimited music service, that the artist is not getting nearly as much as if you bought the CD, which who does that anymore, honestly?
Well, I mean, even if they are still producing CDs, but I mean, like, yeah, records are kind of making a comeback. I kind of have a couple of records now, but yeah, it's something. So anyway, I guess we can go ahead and jump here into our series. I mean, we got a lot of ground to cover. Now, one thing that I will say here just up front, I don't know if you noticed this, but I started to notice that right around issue 10, some of the animation got a little bit less defined.
Yeah, just ever so slightly. I noticed that as well. The first few issues were, they were beautiful. Yeah. Absolutely gorgeous. Well, it kind of devolved from there.
Yeah, well, the thing is it was like literally just, from really the start of it, because like Leia, they almost look like kid versions of themselves. I don't know what the heck happened there, but it definitely seemed a little bit like, I don't know if it was rushed or just, less skill was put into it. Just less time. It was a little odd.
Someone was sick.
They just seemed like that they were.
Granted, looking at the.
I was just gonna say, granted, Leia is
beautiful. Lando looks just like Lando.
Right. Well, and that's what I was jumping on so much because, like, in the early couple comics, they really did animate them. And so there is another short line for the adventure series called Smuggler's Run, which is like a Han and Chewie adventure thing. Not there. Not their animations. And we get that from periodically where, well, yeah, I mean, the physical features are changed ever so slightly, but this has been pretty consistent until we got to that 10th issue, and it just looked like kids. But granted, Leia and like Luke are younger. So
I mean, even looking at Luke in chapter 1, the cover, it's almost like Naruto, Dragon Ball kind of anime style. It's kind of rough. And, I understand in some panels, you have a lot of different panels. You're not going to be perfect and articulate with some where the characters are zoomed out quite a bit. But there's a few where they're zoomed in and it's rough. It's really rough, especially with your droids. And I feel like Chewie kind of got the shank a bit with that as well. But it kind of came and went. It's weird. It's almost like there were different artists on board with this. Like they didn't have the same one throughout the entire comic.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I'm not going to look that far into it. I mean, that does happen. But again, there is some artistic license that is taken in comic form. Obviously, the anime style does pervade into comics as much as anything else. And they are going to try and convey different things than a book or a movie. But I will say, though, and you kind of alluded to it, I think Lando probably was animated the most consistently out of any of them, which was interesting to me. I ain't hating on it. I'm just saying it was like they did Lando pretty good.
Yeah, they did. Obviously, there's some fans
No
there. Lightsabers as well were really well done. Not that we got a lot to see,
True.
but I feel like they were definitely focused on quite a bit.
So let's start to walk through a little bit of our storyline here. Now, this is all centered Empire Strikes, a little after Empire Strikes Back, like directly after Empire Strikes Back, but in between Return of the Jedi. We do have the opening where Luke loses his hand. He's kind of reliving that on the Millennium Falcon. We get some very early conversation with Lando. There, when we get to Return of the Jedi, there's obviously a trust that's been built there. They have a plan to rescue Han, but in this stage, they're still trying to build that trust because Lando did betray them. I mean that happened. Yeah. So Chewie, Leia, Luke. They're not necessarily trusting. And I got to bring this up here. So we have this double page panel where the Rebel fleet is being attacked by the Empire. And they're in that star with like the fire on the side and all the green bursts. That is a well animated panel. I mean, it's 2 pages.
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably the most epic thing in probably the entire series, what I've seen so far. I was really impressed by that.
Yeah. And we also get a new character, Commander Zara, who is aboard Tarkin's Will, which is kind of like our one of our ships that we hear quite a bit for our Imperial force here. And
yeah, and I gotta say, Zara is probably my favorite new character.
She seems very interesting.
Included into lore for a long time. I mean, the backstory with her and Tarkin is really interesting. I'm a big Tarkin fan. I know you are too. So anything that lets you see a little bit more of him is always well appreciated.
Yes, and I'm not going to go crazy in her backstory right now because we'll get into it as we go along. But yeah, she is basically, or was, Tarkin's protege. We also have some new Rebel characters show up here and some Pathfinders. So we're starting to see like some of the stuff from like Thrawn, the Thrawn lore with the Pathfinders. And we hear a little bit with High Republic in here too, a little later, but it's there. We also get let's see, what were our couples' names here? So the wife's name is Shara Bay, And I don't know. Did we get the male's name? I believe this is.
Trying to scroll through that right now and find it real quick.
Well, they just say Dameron
if we
here. We've never heard Dameron before, have we?
No, we don't know anything about that. Yeah, they don't name him in the first comic, I don't think.
I think it's a little later. Let me just we'll pull up one thing real quick. And again, folks, I forget. I forget names and connections like crazy. Okay, so yes. Now, these are Poe Dameron's parents. So it is
right.
Shara Bay and Kes Dameron. Yes. They were also a part of the Shattered Empire comic line, which was very good. And we might talk about that someday. I know me and you have talked about it, but we might talk about that on the show at some point. Yeah. And I seem to remember that being relatively short, but I have it. I don't remember if that was a 4-parter, if it was a single. I'm not really uber concerned about that right now, but I am going to look it up because I want to know.
I'm not concerned, but concerned enough to take
I'm
time
super
to look into
super duper wanting to know. Yeah, so 4 parts. So it's 4 parts. I'm pretty sure I have all 4 of those. I bought them at a really nice comic shop up in Michigan. But anyway, so yeah, this is Poe's parents, Kes and Shar. So kind of interesting to see them here. I would say in Shattered Empire, I believe that was directly after the Battle of Endor, and I think them kind of dealing with some of that.
Kind of like in the same timeline as Aftermath. Then,
yeah, if I remember correctly, it's been quite some time, but very very interesting. So anyway, we have his parents. So just in point of story. We have the Republic pinned down. We learn kind of throughout this series that the Empire was able to break the Rebels' code. So they were able to figure out where the cells would be. And they're hunting them down. Now, the Millennium Falcon does show up for the rendezvous. They are able to break a hole through the line to allow what's left of this piece of the Rebel fleet to escape. But I think...
Let's talk about how they break that hole in the line.
Oh, you mean the missiles that the Millennium Falcon has?
Well, I mean, I feel like the missiles did probably a little bit less than Luke did to help them, but...
Sure. I wanted to get to Luke separately, but I do think that... I mean, it's very clear. The Millennium Falcon, we've always just seen its quad lasers, cannons.
Yeah.
But now we learn that Han also had rockets. So he has missiles.
Much to Lando's dismay, what have you been doing with my ship? How many add-ons did you include?
Yeah, so, I mean, that was interesting. But, on to Luke, because I think the rest of this we can center on Luke. So, one, Luke is not able to call upon Ben or Yoda. Even his connection with the Force is somewhat shaky. But we see...
It's because of the hand. It's all because of the hand. It goes through the hand.
It's all the hand, man. But kind of the cool thing happens here as he's sort of having this dilemma play out in his head. He's basically able to make some of these ties crash into each other using the Force.
Which is both awesome, but it's always fine to me. Like, I know that Luke wasn't trained as properly as most Jedi, but Jedi are, a source of good and light, and sometimes we just make ships steer into each other and blow up. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was...
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think it was cool. And it shows a bit of, like, subconscious power, because he's not...
And he does that a lot through this series, a lot of pushing buttons and, actually experimenting a bit with the Force. Because let's be honest, up to this point, based on the movies, his knowledge of the Force is pretty minuscule.
Yeah, sure.
Truthfully, he didn't do a whole lot with it, other than just sensing certain things. So it's cool to see this progression slowly.
No doubt. So getting a little bit further here, we do realize that our commander, Azara, is effectively answering to Vader. Okay. She reports back to Vader. And, we kind of get periodically here where, he wants Luke. So anywhere where Luke is, it's like, don't destroy that yet. I need that kid first. And then sort of the last little bit of issue 1 is Luke kind of unleashing a little bit of his anger and cracking some glass. He doesn't break it though. He just mildly cracks the glass. Just a little bit of atmosphere getting out of there.
He'd kind of be dead if he broke it.
Yeah.
Just a little vacuum.
Yeah, just a little bit of vacuum.
Just vacuum. It's the vacuum turned to the lowest setting where it doesn't really pick anything up.
And this is where Leia learned how to survive in space because Luke cracked.
Luke trained me quite a bit. He'd break the glass a little more, and I'd be fine.
Everything. All right, let's bounce into issue 2. Kind of a secret agent man cover, isn't it? Skywalker, Luke Skywalker.
Espionage.
Yeah. Oh goodness. Okay, so we dive in here to. What's our conflict? We want to get Han back, right? Well, Lando being Lando being a little bit slippery. He wants to kind of get out of here. Leia is sort of saying, it's like, you're kind of a guest. All right. You're kind of a guest of the Republic now.
You're a guest and you don't get to leave.
Right. But he does, kind of effectively talk Luke into sort of letting him go off-world on a mission to Jabba to see if Han's there. Interesting bit of talkery here as he's confronted by a kind of a squadron of TIE fighters. And then there's also like another group of, I don't know, what were these, like pirates or like some sort of defense force or whatever?
I'm not sure. It was, I would probably say pirates. Yeah. It was almost, I believe it was the same species in Mandalorian where they have that weird little battle with the skiffs. And like everyone's arming a grenade at the exact same time. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well,
yeah. I think it's that.
Well, these would have been like the same species as like Hondo, Unaka.
Yeah.
So they destroy the TIEs, but then they want Solo. Obviously, this is not Han Solo, it's Lando, and Lando kind of talks him into allowing him to, here, give me safe passage to Jabba, and we'll talk it all out.
I've got missiles. I don't have missiles, but I've got missiles.
Yes.
They're so gullible. Oh, no, he's got missiles. We better listen.
Yeah. Well, Lando has a pretty supreme bluff. And again, a little...
Except for with Han.
Well, he does wind up meeting with Jabba, and effectively they kind of strike a deal to basically give Jabba information about the rebels. And this is going to come up later, but again, we'll go for it. We have a yes, we are the Republic moment with all of our friends on our ship. We're going to fight and we're going to kick them all in the face. And then we get, let me tell you about Operation Starlight. Starlight Beacon. Star Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars. Light of the Jedi. We are all the Republic.
We even get reference to the Nihil in this series. It's like, oh my God, why?
Well, no. So Charles Soule, he's doing these comics, and he did do Light of the Jedi. So they really want the High Republic to be the thing, man. They want it. I'm telling you,
Don't
Disney
they?
parks,
Don't they?
movies, the whole 9 yard, man. They're going for it.
That's why I'm saying Disney parks have to be all Starlight Beacon here soon. It's gonna happen.
I'm telling you. I am telling you.
Maybe a little Nihil ride for the adults, where they like sell
Yeah.
beer and stuff. It's like, yeah, we're Nihil, we're bad.
There's
we're
going to be a
drinking.
movie. There's going to be a movie. Listen,
Yeah.
could you imagine a movie of like Avar Chris and Stellan Gios and Elzar Mann just doing like Jedi stuff? I'd watch that.
I'd be good with that. I'd be good with that. Maybe not Nihil stuff, but something a little more interesting. A better.
Listen, you
Adversary.
got to say it right. It's the Nihil. Or if you want to copy or the I can't remember his name. His voice. We are the Nihil.
I think I'll prefer. Yeah, we're the Nihil. There's some spice over there, and there's some drinks.
We're
over
doing
there.
all
Come
the
on.
drugs, all of them.
Make sure that you're not coherent enough to actually pilot this ship.
Yeah.
Why are we heading for a star? No.
Yeah. Well, let's move on a little bit here. We do have Luke, who is training with one of the little training bots, and he's trying to use a blaster.
Getting shot
Yeah.
again.
Well, again, he doesn't have this connection to the Force like he would. Even again, they are really pushing Lando in here, which I'm cool with, but.
Yeah,
Like Lando, their conversation's interesting. He leads in here with, "Yeah, I thought you had the Force. Isn't that what you said?" And they just kind of get a little bit of a stare off. He's like, "Yeah, like I thought. I'm as good a gambler as you'll ever meet. I know a bluff when I see it, and the Force ain't on friendly terms right. You and the Force ain't on friendly terms right now." So.
Yeah, he says that multiple times too. It's kind of a funny way to put it, but it's accurate. Yeah. It is. I mean,
well, it does makes sense, because at the end of the day, what is Lando really seen of the Force?
What is most people of this generation seen in the Force?
Yeah.
Truthfully,
I mean, he's obviously seen Vader, but he wasn't there when Luke blew up the Death Star. He just knows it happened. So anyway, we continually get these flashbacks to Luke losing his hand. However, this time we get someone else who, in his vision, grabs the lightsaber and is acting like he's handing it to him, saying, "Follow your destiny." We have a whole new character that we're drumming up at the end of this particular comic. Mysterious.
which is pretty cool, actually.
Mysterious. Who do you think it was before we got to them later on?
Mara Jade. No. I don't know. I don't know who I thought that would have been. I was kind of going through the catalog of who survived, whether it was even a Jedi, and just nothing really fit. So I was gladly going into this comic just completely blank. Yep. I'm sure waiting a couple weeks when that first came out, that would have been pretty exciting too. Kind of wish I would have started reading these right away for that reason.
Well, anyway, let's head on to issue 3, and we're getting back to Cloud City.
More explosions.
Yes, well,
more Star Destroyer
well,
explosions.
Zara is out here just annihilating rebel forces left and right. And we get some more backstory here where the lieutenant, who I gotta say, this guy annoys the living crap out of me. Like, how many times?
Doesn't it just seem like he's antagonizing her
A lot of
little
people
bit?
are, and it's like it all goes back to hierarchy. And I think that this is written more from like someone else's perspective than actually. And I'm sorry, Charles Soule. I mean, I know you're the dude when it comes to comics, but like this is just, I don't know. I think in true form and fashion, and there was some questioning on board in some of the movies. So I don't want to completely bury this, but like continually, No, if you continually
In the Empire.
question Vader, he killed you. Do you think anybody was?
And she's not far off from that. She seems a bit insane.
Well,
herself.
I mean, would you continually question, Ray Sloan when she like fully assumes her admiralship? I mean, like for real becomes like Grand Admiral Sloan. You know, I'm just starting to like wonder. It's like maybe you guys need to back off that just a wee bit. But anyway,
yeah. Well, and she almost seems a bit understanding of him questioning her for how her mentality is. Like it's just I get it. It's a vehicle to tell the story. Like, oh, this is why we don't want to repair it. No, don't do that. But she probably would have just thrown him out an airlock.
Well, I think like if this were Tarkin, yeah, that'd be true. But I think she does seem to assume things a little bit differently. But she does tell the story here of the ship that they now have called the Tarkin's Will was actually present during the destruction of the Death Star, and it took heavy damage. And she was told by Vader that, to spearhead the hunt, and she wanted this ship. And so they repaired it and renamed it, and it's like a remembrance. So she's rallying the troops against the evils of the rebels, and they destroyed and killed the best of us and all this good stuff. And even then, when we get in here, this lieutenant even like, did you lose someone? It's like, I did. And she kind of like shows emotion. So it seems like there's like a weird closeness in a way there with this like nobody cares about lieutenant. So a little different.
Isn't that kind of an odd question to ask though when you think about it? It's like with how many people were on the desk, it was kind of like in Mandalorian where that one random rebel pilot asked like, "Oh, you're from Alderaan? Did you lose anyone?" Yeah, everyone in Alderaan. When it blew up.
Yeah, it seemed a little bit, whatever. Well, let's go ahead and get back to Bespin. Oh, man. Lando and Luke and Leia, R2 along for the ride in their little tiny weird-looking shuttle. Kind of looks like it.
But not as weird as the shuttles.
Well, I mean, those are classic, man. Those are...
I know, but still, two shuttles just linked together
well,
for no
those
reason.
are classic. That's movies right there, man. Sometimes you just need two people.
Yeah. I can't fly alone. Okay, well, no, I need my own ship, but linked to you.
Well, Lando doesn't have, like, Imperial clearance. I mean, the Bespin is under Imperial control. The patrol ships let him through, although they are being shot at. He is able to trigger a stopping command for the turbo lasers, and they're able to get in the city, although their ship is destroyed.
Almost right.
Yeah, their ship's destroyed. And then he crushes some stormtroopers under a door. That's pretty sick.
He's just got one button that does everything he needs to do.
His wrist comm is pretty dangerous. Well, in classic fashion here, everybody goes their separate ways. Leia is going... Honestly, I didn't really understand what Leia was doing. It seemed more of a plot device than anything else, because she goes down the cryo to the carbonite facility, and I guess the point was to learn how to like reverse it without like so no blah blah. It just seemed weird, and she's captured and stuff.
And She makes it seem like such a big deal, and Lando's like, "Oh no, you just push this button here."
Yeah,
watch.
and that was the thing too. So Leia is captured, and she's frozen in carbonite to be transported to a facility. Lando is going to get Lobot, who is plugged into the mainframe of the city at this point, and Luke is going to look for his saber because Lando tells him that it's probably down in the trash, which I find interesting.
Which, by the way, Lobot's probably my favorite part of this comment. It's like, I'm so glad that he came to rescue Lobot. I love Lobot. I know he's a pretty basic character. He doesn't have a lot of backstory, but
we learn a little bit more about him later, so we'll get there. But yeah, I mean, Lobot obviously in Empire, and he's has a little bit bigger role as we move along.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's jacked into the mainframe here.
He's the ghost in the show.
There you go. And Lando basically does some quickie stuff here to allow the Tabana gas to leak out and so forth. Luke's in the trash with the Ugnaughts, doesn't find his saber, but realizes he had what he needed all along, and he just leaves it there for an Ugnaught to find. I mean, oops, that's not in this comic. That's in the next.
But by the way, I try not to overanalyze comics, but how many times does Lando have to tell Luke, hey, I'm going to die. Could you come help me? Before he's like, okay, I guess I'll stop looking for my saber, which I'm never going to find, and I'll come
no,
find
Lando,
you.
I'll be there later. I got to find my saber.
I'll be there in 20 minutes. Can you last 20 minutes? I need you to last 20 minutes.
Moving on to issue 4. So issue 4's cover is a giant bait. We see Leia and like in Carbonite and Vader standing over her. Let me just say outwardly, and we didn't really say spoilers, but this is spoiler heavy.
Obviously, everything.
Yeah, Vader never sees her, so that was a bait. But we pick up where we left off. Lando's trying to disconnect Lobot. Leia's in Carbonite. Luke's searching through the trash. Lobot sends a bunch of mouse droids to fly. Apparently, they can fly and take out troopers, which I thought was hilarious.
They ramped, man. They just ramped.
Okay. That was interesting. You're just kind of moving around here. Luke has sort of another bit of a vision as he's trying to reach out to find his saber, which he hasn't been successful on. I thought this was kind of neat. We have Vader, Ben, Yoda, even the Emperor in his vision. You cannot hide forever. This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight. Take your weapon.
You lose your weapon just like your father all the time.
Your weapons, you will not need them. And then he kind of hears this. I don't know if it's more the vision or if it's similar to when Luke was reaching out to Leia, but he does see Leia in the Carbonite in his vision. So this is actually what makes him stop his search.
Not Lando.
Yeah, not Lando at all. But he does go to Lando's aid first. Uses the Force, throws a couple of stormtroopers out a window. Lobot's got
perfectly light side power.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Lobot's got some pretty shortcut dreadlocks now.
Dreads. Yeah, he's got some male pattern baldness. Dreadlocks. It's great.
Now, one interesting thing here, we get to the panel where the Ugnaughts are still searching through the trash. One of them finds Luke's saber. And the question...
Which kind of contradicts our little vision that we see of someone in a hood finding the saber.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how you interpret it, but yeah. But the thing is the question is what happened to that saber? And how did Maz Kanata come across it? Well, we're starting to pick up some pieces here, and we might hear more about that later, but we are kind of going to move on. And yeah, this is the part where Lando's like, yeah, you just spin that knob and press the button, and they're out. They're out of the Carbonite. It's great. Luke does this with the Force. He frees everyone, take out the stormtroopers. Epic shot of Leia, doing Captain America pose.
Yeah.
Steals some ships. Luke, there's an X-Wing there.
For no reason. It's great.
Red 5 standing by apparently, but it's there. And Lando gets all the praise.
Yeah.
Lando. Great. Baron Lando.
Don't hug me. I didn't come for you.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so happy you saved us, Baron. You're the best.
I touch your shoulder one more time. Ooh.
Anyway, on to issue 5, as we see Luke Skywalker brutally murdered in a bar.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, man. The impersonators of Luke. This is actually interesting because this makes a lot of sense. If you know that name...
Yeah.
And what did he call his droid? RD. Yeah, RD the droid, not R2. It's RD. So we have an imposter. He's wearing some pretty sick glasses.
Oh yeah,
But Vader is still.
kind of acting like Han a little bit there.
I thought it would have been funny if it was Luke and he's like trying to get information, so he's trying to be cool. It's like, yeah, I'm Luke
Just
Skywalker,
trying to act like Han.
you know.
Yeah.
And, hey man, maybe give me some information. But yeah, Vader shows up. He kills this imposter. Obviously, he's still out there looking for Skywalker. Well, Luke, he's off to Sorelia.
Yeah, that's about how I pronounce
Cool.
it. Sure.
So he's off to a planet. And nothing like another water fish planet.
Yeah, it's our favorite.
Yes. So we meet our character here after a series of boating accidents and booby traps and getting blown up and
This must operate just like a starfighter. Yeah, it does, because that's how that works.
tripwire and getting caught in a water pit that has you can fill with water somehow with a button.
With an old school like Mayan temple push the brick in button.
Yeah.
It's odd.
So we meet our new character, and her name is Virla.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't have red hair, so
No.
it's pretty much white.
No. It's okay. Sorry. Doesn't give him purple lightsaber.
Yeah, well, she doesn't even
bull
have a
crap.
lightsaber at this time. So anyway,
She's not even a Jedi.
no, she would have been a Padawan or a youngling at the time of the Purge.
They even they said like she was an acolyte of a Padawan at one point, and then the Padawan had to become a master during the Purge, and basically made her a disciple. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But basically, she would have been a youngling. I mean, that's pretty much what she would have been, probably in the temple, but being groomed to become a Padawan in a time where, war. So they were probably graduating everyone left and right, just like in the High Republic. But anyway, whatever. Mm-hmm. She explains to Luke the Purge because Luke doesn't know.
Yeah.
And we get a panel here with the Inquisitors, which will come up a little later. And then, she unveils that it was basically Darth Vader who kind of led all this. And I mean, I got to say the panel where he's like looking up is actually pretty sweet. It's just a little panel.
Yeah.
And she realizes, who's not like a trained Jedi, she realizes.
But that's how much it's emanating out of him. This conflict.
Well, she's able to read his thoughts, and she gets through him that Vader is this boy's father. So then she attempts to murder him.
Yeah.
And then we dive into episode 6, issue 6, which honestly, dude, is probably one of the best covers. Luke with a yellow lightsaber. It's honestly probably one of the best covers. And Luke's dead.
Yep. Never actually ignited that yellow lightsaber. It's just a what if, just like with the carbonite and Darth Vader.
Well, but in all seriousness, though, Luke's goose was pretty much cooked here. And if it wasn't for R2-D2, saving the day.
Good old RD.
Yeah, RD. Well, R2 zaps Virla and saves Luke, zaps Luke. I do have to say the panel where he's spitting out water looks like something worse, but I'm not going to go there. We don't. This is an adult podcast. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so I do think it's funny. Luke's just here making fish as Virla wakes up.
I don't know how to fish. I like sand.
Yeah. I mean, I've never fished. I grew up on a desert, but I can cook it. I know how to cook it and perfectly skin it and bone it and de-gut it and everything. It's fine. Eat my fish. He tells Virla his name, and she, being given this knowledge somewhat secondhand, but still having names. she remembers the name Anakin Skywalker. I mean, sort of starts to call him something else, but what did she?
Skywalker or something
Well,
like that.
it was
terrible
no. So he
pronunciation.
says Aravan. No, that's not it. Anakin.
Yeah.
She does try and like persuade him to like basically you got to let go of this Jedi stuff, man. It's not good. Yeah. You're not right for it. Nobody's right for it.
Well, and she does pose a good question. It's like, look, my master told me that the Force had things in store for me, and all it had in store for me was pain, misery, and being hunted by an evil man that happens to be your father. Well, so I just kind of gave up. It's like, I don't care about what the Force wants out of me. I want to live my life. I don't want to be a part of
one thing I want to know about is there's a panel here of her like being chased by Vader as like a kid. It's like, did that actually happen or is it more metaphorical? Because if she was able to run away from Vader, I'd be pretty impressed.
Well, Vader would have just grabbed her. I mean, like...
I think it would be cool if she escaped, but, you know, hey, who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know if we're really ever going to see much of her again, but it is interesting. She's obviously a Force sensitive, non-trained, but a Force sensitive. And so it's just adding more layers. There were definitely more that survived, and this is one. So Luke...
Yeah, and it's always fun to see the aftermath of that, you know, how much it devastated those who actually survived. We always assumed, like, oh, there's probably like 10 that survived. There's probably quite a few people like her. They're just kind of living it up as a hermit and trying to just stay alive, you know. Quality of life isn't the issue. It's just trying to survive. And
True that. Well, we're going to another planet, fetch quest to Tempest.
Yeah. But it's a quick quest, right? I mean,
it's quickie. But it is pretty sick. So we have this old abandoned Jedi temple,
I believe it's a High Republic. Temple,
I was about to say, didn't they say it was High Republic?
Yeah, well, it's got the symbol as well.
Well, I mean, but that's the same symbol as, you know, whatever we want to call the Clone Wars era is the Republic.
Yeah. But it's definitely a High Republic era lightsaber that we.
Well, it's a Temple Guard's lightsaber. So, okay, couple things here, and I actually think I agree with the High Republic just because of like it's kind of gold around the door. If it looks like something that would have been more High Republic-y, but anyway, from what we know. As he enters, I mean, there's literally a suit of armor from a Temple Guard, which we saw in Rebels, so we kind of know what that looks like. There's a holocron, and sitting on another pedestal is a typical Temple Guard's lightsaber. And this lightsaber you can actually get from Disney, from the parks. You can buy this. This is one that they did offer. Probably one of the less amazing ones of all of them, but it's kind of cool. It's got kind of a flowy, leafy design.
The opening's kind of neat in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he is attacked by a flaming and Grand Inquisitor. I mean, what is that?
That's great. I'm a ghost.
I'm a ghost.
And I'm a murder you.
Let's speculate a little bit about this because when...
There's big implications.
Well, the thing is when Kanan and Ezra went into the Jedi Temple, what would that have been? That was later in the show.
Season 3?
It might have been season 3, but it was the temple on Lothal. They encountered the High Inquisitor. And then later encountered him in a different way. But they did encounter the Inquisitor in a form. And obviously later, no, it must not have been season 3, but later Kanan kills the High Inquisitor.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing here is... this Inquisitor is literally on fire. And the way the Grand Inquisitor died
falls into a pit of burning.
Yeah. So is is
debris.
this how like which I think you know what I'm gonna mix up things, but I think kind of contradicts his sort of redemption towards the end of Rebels. Or actually, you know what? It might make it more interesting because it seems like Vader is somehow using the Force energy of the Inquisitor. Because we're both saying, I mean, this isn't like a live Inquisitor. This is like some sort of like Sithy Force ghosty thing, like the remnant of his anger, some sort of like magic. You know what I mean?
Almost like some Revan stuff going on here.
Yeah, it's just kind of strange. Now, Luke. Well, okay, let's first say, first of all, Vader knows that there's somebody at Tempest. So he's going. He gets the alarm bells have been sounded. We get a really visually cool fight between the Inquisitor and Luke. The holocron's destroyed, the armor's destroyed, which kind of sucks. I would have liked to have known what was on that holocron, but whatever.
Yeah.
And we even
You think he really could have beat the Grand Inquisitor at this point?
That is an interesting question.
Kind of makes you wonder if it's more like a, I don't know, something like the Dagobah Force Cave. Because he obviously wouldn't have been able to beat Vader at that point, but he's able to in his own.
Yeah,
division,
but there's something more to this one because even at the end,
I mean, this obviously isn't a
well, right,
because it interacts
with Vader.
Vader.
Yeah. Do I think he can fight? I mean, Kanan was able to, and no offense, because I love Kanan Jarrus, but like, you know, Kanan,
he's not the best.
I mean, he wasn't in the beginning until he started believing in himself again, and then he was. But I think Luke at this point is starting to believe he just needed a weapon of a Jedi. So
yeah, and I guess you could base on how much his Force powers have increased at this point that maybe his fighting skills the same.
Yeah.
I mean, he's more in tune with the Force, and obviously we see such a power level spike between Empire and Return of the Jedi.
This is starting to flesh that out.
This is a nice little bridge between that. You know, it's like, well, who did he fight in between to really get that much better? How did he get more in tune with the Force? And this is kind of leading us into that starting point. So it is kind of cool. It's interesting, but yeah, it's definitely something to ponder.
No doubt. And he totally cuts off the Inquisitor's hand, so that's fun.
That's great. That's his thing now. Like, I'm just going to cut off every Sith's hand. Yeah.
Well, and then we get to these panels where the Inquisitor does converse with Vader. He was strong, so strong. You failed. I have served for so long. Will there never be a chance of release? You are a tool. You are but a tool. You're a tool. You are but a tool shaped to serve my purposes. You will continue. There are worse things than death, which is what the Inquisitor uttered before he died. So there is something weird about this that maybe at some point we look into a little bit further. Well, Luke shows back up. He's got his shiny new lightsaber, and he does the sabers up, y'all. Which I don't know. It's always kind of goofy, but it's you just get like some of the.
It's inspiring.
Well, you get some of the folks in the back. Our character called Needle in the back. He's just kind of looking at it with like a derp face. Like, wow.
Good old Needle.
Wow.
Poor
Pretty
Needle.
cool. That's issue 6. Let's jump into issue 7. Another pretty epic cover. Man, good stuff. And this is when I really haven't been talking about titles, so I'm not going to do that now. But the next couple are in like this Will of Tarkin sort of series. So anyway, time to strike back. Well, we need, you know what? Okay. Let's start with more backstory. So we have more of our commander's backstory. And we actually get Sahara on Tarkin's planet, on his like family land. Tarkin's got layers, man. And we should do the Tarkin book sometime. There's a Tarkin book. We should do that.
We really should. Just a full bio of Tarkin would be awesome. And I love this comic because, again, more Tarkin. Anything with a little bit more Tarkin, seeing a little bit more of how he treated people in the Empire is just great.
So in this issue, we see his 3 potential proteges. Their names are. We did. I
didn't.
Yeah, it's in here. Belden, Hanovic, and Zara, and they are basically put on his land. And hey, there's a beast out there. A Vermok, go kill it. Bring me its head. It's pretty sick. You're like the only non-Tarkans to ever hunt here, so like go kill that thing.
Gonna adopt you.
Yeah. Well, Zara brings it back. She's a little hurt. None of the other 2 are with her. I took the beast in the trees where it believed it was safe. It wasn't. And the others?
I killed it with this stick, and I then decapitated it with this stick.
Your colleagues? So anyway, we get that her parents.
I'm not gonna say it, but
well, we get that her parents were killed by the rebels at some point, and she totally killed them, killed them all.
Yeah,
the women, the children, the monsters, and
I
also have to say this isn't like the end of it. We continue the backstory, which is actually pretty unique.
Yeah,
we get Tarkin meeting with Krennic. She's there. We get, I can't remember who this guy is. I feel like I remember this interrogation, this rebel interrogation. I can't remember who the heck that guy is.
Yeah, he did look kind of familiar.
Well,
I'm glad I'm not the only one that felt that way, but we're kind of just left to ponder with that. What's going on?
It is what it is.
But yeah, he did.
No biggie.
Familiar. Then we get to something don't like.
Okay. Let's just keep rolling. So we get Tarkin with Vader. And even Vader here, yes, I have heard of this one, your little foundling. It's like, well, don't say that. We know what Vader does to foundlings. All right. Liam knows.
By the way, this just kind of represents how much respect Vader has for Tarkin,
Yeah.
for him to even give a crap about this person. It's like, Tarkin scares
is a
Vader.
scary dude.
He terrifies him. And that's always been probably why I love Tarkin as much as I do. He's the only person other than the Emperor that has Vader's respect.
Well, let me put it this way. I think 2 of the only people that Vader and subsequently the Emperor had the respect for were Tarkin and Thrawn. I think that they were the only 2 that Vader, I don't think he fears anyone, but I think as far as respect, Thrawn and Tarkin were 2 people he wouldn't cross because they all kind of share a similar aim and they understand each other. Anyway, we bring to the point where Tarkin gives Zara a mission to take out
Burnium.
Yeah, it sounds like an element. Burnium Row, who is he's kind of like part of the obsolete criminal organization known as the Nihil. Which actually, I want to talk about this very briefly because that means that potentially the Nihil, like the Jedi, didn't ever in that High Republic never really dealt completely with the Nihil, which I find a little odd.
Yeah, I mean, they almost kind of made it out like, oh, he just knows about the Nihil and he's following them. But it's like, but he's got a big organization for someone who just is following an old way of being a marauder. I feel like the Nihil are still a thing.
Well,
but they're obviously not that important. Otherwise, we'd know more about them before this.
I mean, it might just have been something picked up, but like the whole point that the Jedi in the High Republic and the High Republic whatever military was not able to completely stamp out the word Nihil. Yeah. It either seems like service because Cavan Scott wrote this book or writes these comics and also wrote the Light of the Jedi, or there's something that we're going to get in the High Republic where maybe some of the Marchion Rowe, that was the guy's name. That was Marchion Rowe, kind of like our Kylo Ren of the High Republic. But it seems like maybe something happened and some of the Nihil survived. So that, maybe. Yeah. Well, let's get on to our character here. We bring down the shuttle and basically, did like the little panel at the bottom where the alien's face is like, oh no. It's like, oh no.
No.
Well, anyway, they destroy the little living quarters. But Tarkin is displeased. One, because she didn't actually kill the real target. She killed a body double. And two, she didn't bring Tarkin the head. It's like, I thought it was like metaphorical. It's like, no, I actually wanted you to bring me the head because
I told you to do it.
Yeah.
You didn't do it.
And even with here, it's like Tarkin's like look in their enemy's eyes and put their blade in their throat. That,
show some honor. If you're going to fight someone, fight them face to face and finish it like a man.
Now, here's the crazy part. This is on the Death Star, I believe, right? This is the Death Star, not a ship around there. Pretty sure it's Death Star. So anyway, she goes a week later to Tarkin's. Tarkin has given explicit instructions. You don't want to see her. You're going to go for regular assignment. She goes and steals a shuttle to try and like make good on her promise. And as she is exiting, this is when the Death Star is destroyed.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, even someone mentions, don't you know we're being attacked right now? It's like, I feel like at this point, she would have known that entering the system and going and talking to him. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, kind of a lack of cohesion.
Isn't that kind of cool how last second she escapes?
Yep. She was seconds away from being killed. It's wild. Well, anyway, we do have a Republic trap or an Alliance trap or a Rebel trap, whatever you want to call them now. Who cares? Of course, this kind of seems to play in Azara's plan, and we move on to issue 8. Very cool visual there, that last panel with all the Republic ships facing up against the, or behind the Imperial ships in their pincer maneuver. Heard that quite a bit.
It's a pincer attack. They were planning this.
Bring me a Hammerhead Corvette. Anyway.
And then we get probably issue 8 is one of my top 3. Isn't that just a great cover?
It is a very interesting cover.
Poor Zara, her eyes just explode.
What's interesting, we're really leaning into her too. We're leaning heavily into her. But yeah, this is we have the Emperor in the back. We have Vader, some stormtroopers, and the exploding Death Star in her eye because she saw it. So anyway, we have a conversation between a little conversation between Vader and the Emperor, and some of the dialogue's interesting here. They will be hunted down every day, every last ship. Okay, it must happen now while they're at their weakest. Disorganized. Is that your command, my master? Thrawn or Tarkin would be perfect for the assignment, but both are gone, and few in my empire rise to their level of skill. I do not like delaying our search for the son of Anakin Skywalker, Lord Vader, but perhaps you must be the one to hunt down the remaining rebels. And Vader says, no. And this, again, we are continuing her back. No. We are continuing her backstory. Zara's backstory, we are continuing it. And it's like, how many times does this happen?
Two issues. 2 issues we get into that. Well, actually 3. Yeah. Because we get a little bit at the end of 6.
No doubt. I like her with her slightly longer hair, though. I think it looks better.
Yeah.
Than her super slick back hair. So she's basically on some random outpost, gets a direct message from Lord Vader, and kind of tells her, it's like, the Emperor knows your name. And this is like...
That could be good or
this
bad.
Is like, he's laying it down. It's like, this could be, you have no choice, but this could be your greatest triumph or your greatest failure. You know about what Tarkin was all about, so go do it. And then we flash to the present. She is...
And then we get mentioned, it's like, yeah, that sounds like Tarkin.
Yeah.
He once taught me something as well. On a world called Chandra's Folly, I found the lesson instructive.
Yeah, exactly. So...
It's like, God, who teaches Vader?
Well, I mean, you know, Tarkin was a captain during the Clone Wars. And I'm trying to... I'm going to... Oh, for Pete's sake. it helps if I know how to spell things. Because I actually want to look that up because it's not coming to mind. Let me see if I can remember this. So let's see here. Chandra's Folly was a planet located in Galaxy without a rim. Governor Tarkin and 19 other hunters hunted the Sith Lord Darth Vader on Chandra's Folly. By the ninth day of the hunt, only 8, including Tarkin, remained. I don't remember where this comes up.
Yeah, I don't either. I know of it, but I don't.
Yeah, it sounds
remember if that was part of a book or a comic or what.
Yeah, it sounds super familiar.
It's probably the Vader series, truthfully. The old Vader series. But I'm not sure.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to... okay. So this might have been Dark Lord of the Sith. Ah, interesting. So yeah, this was the 2008 Vader series, Dark Lord of the Sith. Okay. Yeah, so this wasn't the horse one, I don't think. I think this was this is the better one. I have these, I'm pretty sure. Okay. Let's get back to our comic series.
Yeah, we
because
actually talked about going through those.
Yeah, let's talk about our series now because we are running a bit longer than normal, but there was a lot to go over. But anyway, we'll some other time. Anyway, Zara's leading a boarding party. She's got some sweet black armor. She's apparently killing everyone at will. She's got a bigger, like a knife sword thing. She takes control of, the engine room, wasn't it? And calls Leia down.
Life supports.
Well, she calls Leia down. She wants Leia. Luke, Lando, they're all out there doing their thing. And I got to say, some pretty sweet launching of all the different fighters.
Yeah, that awesome?
You have all the different colors: A-wings, B-wings, X-wings, all that good, Y-wings, stuff like that. So really, really cool panel there. Wedge Antilles is here, so that's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have our confrontation, and Leia has. I'm assuming this is Han's blaster here, because if not, it's basically Dead Ringer. I'm going to say it's Han's blaster. She tries to fire a few shots as we have the villainous exposition, but she's really not a match. I mean, Leia's... Mm-hmm. Zara says it here. Leia is a symbol. She is a fighter, but she's more of a leader than a soldier. So, she's a leader, kind of a soldier, mainly a symbol of hope, but also not like an elite fighter. Where Zara is obviously very, very well trained.
Except for in Battlefront 2.
That's true.
In their mid-2000s.
Yeah.
You kill the Emperor with her.
Now, one thing that I'm going to say that I'm not 100% sure if I care for is, Leia gets cut a little bit. She gets a little grazing shot by a blaster, but Luke shows up.
Yeah. And
we have sort of a stare down. Zara is instructed specifically not to mess with Luke, but
she throws a sword.
Well, in order to escape, she throws a sword, does a flippy maneuver over him, and escapes. That kind of was a little bit meh.
Yeah.
But okay, she's cool. She's pretty BA, has a rocket pack, doing space walks without I guess she does have okay. So from an illustrating standpoint, she does have a face.
Puts on a little.
Yeah, but it's not covering all of her exposed skin. Right. So hey, whatever. It's a short jaunt. Now the interesting thing here, and I don't think she did what she thought she did, but Zara basically is like, I left Leia without hope. But in the very next couple panels, she's a little banged and bruised, but like they're still discussing things and we still move forward. So I actually think that was kind of a little bit lost. It's like maybe in your insane mind you thought that this was how it worked, but it's not really how it worked. Anyway, she's got a sword. Let's move to chapter 9. I can't say it. Issue 9.
Might as well be.
Issue 9. Keeping going. I do like the first panel here where we get Sassy Leia. I'm Sassy Leia. It's time for Operation Starlight to begin. Oh, yeah.
Ooh, Starlight.
So this is where we kind of get into kind of like, hey, we need to extend this series a little bit. We've been running pretty hot and heavy. We need to back off just a wee bit so that we can stretch this out. And we...
Fetch quest.
Yeah, and we kind of have like a C-3PO sort of thing here. So in order to communicate, they have to come up with a new code. So 3PO has an idea here to use a long extinct language that was only spoken by like some cave dwellers that are long dead. The Empire doesn't know about this. There's only one droid in the galaxy that has it. And the language is called Throwak.
Yeah. Sure.
Which, yeah. Thankfully, they didn't call in the Bothans for this particular run because they have to go to Coruscant. I mean, what? Okay.
This is the most stupid idea I think C-3PO has ever had.
Yeah, it was a little bit,
but it
sort of. It was kind of odd, but we send a team to Coruscant to retrieve this droid that's basically been curated in this museum.
And who do we send? High profile, Lobot, and Lando.
Well, I mean, we send Pathfinders, which now that we understand understand what Pathfinders are, they would seem to be pretty valuable. Especially Pathfinders who would have broken from the guild and are working for the Republic or the Rebels. And yeah, so we're sending like all of our Pathfinders and Lando to go retrieve this droid on Coruscant, the capital of the galaxy. Whatever. Yeah. Okay, fine. Fine. Let's just keep suspending disbelief. It's cool. Well, we did you like seeing the guards, the blue armored guards again?
Yes.
Those were the
little throwback from Clone Wars.
Definitely a throwback. Well, in order to get in, Needle is gonna provide a distraction. Complaining about...
It's kind of a fine distraction, honestly.
Complaining about the art. Our other friends are able to break in, steal the bot without like any real effort. I mean, they knocked out a few guards and then stole the bot. Like, it was the easiest thing.
Just imagine like they're dragging it on the ground with a blanket covering it. Like, don't mind me, just taking something out of the art museum that somehow holds billions.
Yeah, exactly.
Explain that to me.
Well, in order to ensure that they are able to get away, Needle like steals a piece and tries to run. He's captured and he's executed.
Yeah.
That's kind of cold-blooded, man. I mean, you just murdered a character.
Yeah.
For a bot.
Lot of sacrifice in this that doesn't necessarily need to be.
It doesn't feel like it.
From what I've found so far.
Especially when we realize at the end of this issue that the bot is not like fully functional. Can't talk. So
yeah.
That's 9. Let's go to issue 10. Issue 10. So I don't understand like what C-3PO is actually doing in here, because it's not like he can work on anything. He's not like a flipping computer scientist or whatever. He's just a protocol droid. But anyway,
that's what R2's
Yeah,
for.
I mean, R2's working on the droid. Droid wakes up and goes psychotic. Like he's like half protocol droid, half murder assassin droid, which
he's what we thought C-3PO was going to be in Rise.
Well,
when we saw that terrible little trailer.
I'm fascinated as to why they would give this bot all this seeming power. I mean, he's able to dispatch C-3PO, which isn't anything. But when R2 goes to zap him, he like does a Yoda maneuver and like catches the energy and directs it back. Like, how does that work?
This is a protocol droid.
I don't know. I mean, there's obviously something else here. But Lobot makes a connection with him, like a...
He uses the Professor X force.
Yeah. It was kind of strange. He uses his now growing dreadlocks, which whatever, to make this connection. And this droid has like a ton of sassy personality, which is great. Doesn't really want to help.
It's probably not the worst out of all droids that we've had recently.
No, but he's nefarious. Like, he's a nefarious droid.
I'm on my side, the winning side.
And this is where, like, legitimately, like, these next couple panels when the group is talking with this bot, this is when I started to notice that the artwork went downhill. Lando, not so bad. Rez looks ridiculous. Leia looks like a child.
C-3PO and Lobot.
I mean, C-3PO is meh, but he looks sort of like misproportioned. But yeah, Lobot seems lo-fi. It all just sort of seems to get lo-fi and like weirdly strange anime, and I don't get it.
Anime, yeah. It's the eyes, man. It's always in the eyes.
Well, Lando kind of makes a deal with our bot, and Lobot sort of sticks with him, I guess. But we get some Lobot backstory, which I never dived into this character, so I don't know much about. But apparently, this was this person was being used by the Empire for battle simulations, which we saw with some clones, and him and Lando ran around for quite some time. But when Lando was in trouble, Lobot saved him at the cost of...
Yeah, and basically lost the majority of his mind in the process.
So he's kind of like he's more machine than man.
And Lando's been trying to find a way to reverse this, but he has had no luck so far.
So anyway, they sort of make a deal with our translady weird psycho murder droid. And as Lando stomps off with his sweet cape, he gets a call from Jabba's palace.
Bib. Yeah. Good old Bib.
Yes. And he kind of gives him some information and is like, maybe I'll tell you the rest later. We'll see. Now I want to talk about when we have our pilots in their V stance and with their names. Yeah, it's like they put little name cards.
Because we don't know any of these people and we don't care about them.
We wouldn't know them, but I mean, obviously Shara Bay's here and Wedge Antilles, but like Mart Matin, sick.
Freya Smith.
Smith
with a Y, by the way.
Luolo Lampar, Evan Berlin. 2 A's in Evan.
Martin.
Yeah, Mart Matt. I said Martin too, but it's Matin. It's 2 T's. So yeah, Matin. Yeah. Pilots of the Republic. Anyway, it just leads up to a really weird kissy scene between the Damerons here, which just full tongue. That's like full face sucker thing. I mean, I feel like the person who animated that doesn't know what kissing looks like.
Right.
Kiss me. Yeah, it's like, what the heck, man? So anime. Well, as we move towards the sort of conclusion of issue 10, we have our fleet kind of being attacked by Viper droids. And they're like boring into the ship's droids.
They're lobotomizing.
Yeah, exactly.
The poor little protocol droids. And somehow through that drill, they would be able to access all the flight plans, all the plans of the rebels. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It just sort of seemed like an odd panel because, like, I got lost here. Because, like, all of a sudden we're in the hangar, we're doing weird kissy stuff, and then the next panel is like, we're just near this planet, and I mean, this is where the 6th Division was destroyed, but they left Viper droids, and then they're boring into their droids to get droid stuff.
Yeah.
So are these people screwed? Or are they okay? Was this like a plan? I mean, I started to get a little bit like I'm lost. I honestly, I got to say, I hope issue 11 starts to make some sense because this one threw me off.
It does.
It threw me
I
off.
actually read it waiting for you. Issue 11 completely clears all this up.
Yeah, I hadn't had the chance to jump into it yet, but obviously we'll talk about it later. But anyway, so we do have a short page here with Lobot, and our droid here is actually able to kind of click his personality back.
Yeah, he essentially fixes him.
Yeah, which I think is, it's
And then it's just back to Lobot, just
yeah.
quiet.
I mean, it's like
But we find out pretty soon why. He's having a bad time right now.
it's a common problem with hybrid droids in my day. What? Where am I? I don't. What? It worked. Fascinating. So there's going to be probably some backstabbing there, I'd have to imagine, which kind of sucky. So anyway, that was like a short page. And then we have, we have our Viper droids peacing out.
We got Choom.
Yeah, Choom, right. Whatever. All right, let's keep moving. And then we get finally here that for some reason, the process that this droid is taking for this language stuff is killing Lobot.
Yeah. Because why not?
Again, it's not making a ton of sense to me for whatever reason.
No. Nothing here with Lobot really makes any sense to me, truthfully. Yeah. Not one bit of this interaction.
Yeah. Well, Kes Dameron is like, we're doing this. Your Lobot's dead because like my wife's out there and she's not dying. So screw your friend.
She's more important.
And then we have probably the worst animated Lando, very misproportioned, huge head, little tiny body,
and a really pissed off Chewie in the background.
Yeah. So anyway, we leave it there. We leave with a standoff between Lando and Kes, where Kes pulls blaster. Yeah, that issue didn't make much sense to me, but it is what it is. So they're obviously they're setting up to try and get a new encryption, and they're all mad at each other.
We've got roughly 2 out of 10 that are kind of crap. But honestly, the rest of these have been really entertaining. So.
Yeah, so let's start a little bit of a wrap up here. But so out of our 10, I know this is kind of a big ask. What were some of your favorites, and maybe favorite moments?
Favorite moments would definitely be just in general, kind of going back to save Lobot and searching for Luke's lightsaber was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And pretty much everything with our new big baddie Zara, pretty much all the backstory with Tarkin were probably my favorite scenes.
Yeah, issue 7 kind of contained a lot of that backstory. That was very good. 6 was our Jedi Temple, which I thought was very good. 5, finding our new Force-sensitive person. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that as well.
4... okay, 3, Return in Cloud City, okay. First 2 issues, pretty good, pretty serviceable. I mean, very interesting, building blocks to the story. So, but I have to say, through reading these, and I got to tell you, issue 1 is a thick boy. But very interesting start to this series. I tried a little bit to read into some of the original line, the 75 issue line, and it just seemed very silly. It seemed like silly Marvel stuff. This series seems like it's pretty seriously trying to tell a good story, and I like that. So I'm looking forward to what we have next, what we have coming up next. So
yeah, definitely. And again, you will enjoy 11, and it does set up for some interesting things. This is clearly going to go well into probably, I would even say, potentially past Return of the Jedi. I think there's going to be a little bit of crossover into Aftermath with it. So we've got a long haul here.
Well, okay, but
sure, this is probably another 75.
No.
Series,
Yeah, let me
right?
stop. Let me stop you there because I don't think it is.
Oh, really? I assume this would be a mainline, pretty large series.
I want to say the last time I looked it up, I believe they only have 13 that are like available. So I don't know how long they're going with this.
Really? Wow, that's kind of disappointing because the setup for this could be pretty
Well,
long term.
I to be honest, I haven't dived into this a ton. Let me do a little bit of quick searching to see if we can find if there are any more, because like immediately when I started looking at this, all the one source told me was 13 issues. And I think that on most of the sites, they're obviously not going to give a ton away. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many they're really going to do.
That'd be disappointing if they cut it off early. I think there is a lot of potential for.
Well, here's the other thing to consider too. So these are broken up into 3 stories. So you have Destiny's Path, which is issues 1 through 6, The Will of Tarkin, which is 7 and 8, and then Operation Starlight 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So the thing is we wrap up Operation Starlight on issue 13. Now, if they choose to make more than that, that's a different story. But the arc that we are in, called Operation Starlight, ends on issue 13. So we only have 2 more for this arc. But again, if they come out with more for this series, that's a different story. But I don't know. I don't have anything that says that one way or the other. And the next issue 12, comes out March 10th. So it's like a month.
Okay.
And that's kind of the way they've been doing it. One of these a month, for past few months.
Right.
So.
Interesting.
I don't know, man. But hopefully, it's labeled as an ongoing series, so hopefully they continue to create more arcs. But I can only go off of what I see. So.
Yeah.
Well, that was comics, man. That was a lot of comics.
Quite a few.
But it was fun. It was good to get back in here. Obviously, we have more plans to do more comics as we go along. So any parting thoughts, anything else we want to talk about before we get to signing off?
No, I think we've kind of gone over pretty much all the high points of it. Pretty good series. Overall, I guess maybe just a quick review. What would you give it so far? Obviously, we haven't finished the entire thing, but just from what we've seen so far, let's say just out of 10, what would you give it?
Well, I think if we're going to do that, we have to rate the arcs. I don't really want to do.
True. So let's go into 8. So that's the first 2 arcs. Is you said 1 through 6 for the first, and 7, 8 for the second.
Yeah. I mean, like the first arc is pretty extensive, you know, kind of dealing a little bit with Luke, sort of figuring himself out, getting the lightsaber. So, I mean, all inclusive, I mean, it's tougher for me to do that with comics, I think.
Maybe we'll save that for when we finish the entire series and just kind of do a general review then.
Yeah, I mean, it's stupid, but I guess I just wasn't really ready. I guess I wasn't really ready to think about that. Because, like, I mean, The Will of Tarkin is good, but I mean, it's 2 comics, and a lot of it is kind of, you know, backstory for our commander, which is very cool.
It's very enjoyable, but hard to put a score on that.
Well, I mean, does it highly advance the story? I mean, sort of does. I mean, you get a little bit of present day, but a lot more of the backstory of her. So, I mean, as far as backstory goes, I mean, it's pretty good. I'd probably be, I mean, for like the 2 Will of Tarkins, I mean, I'd probably like give it like an 8.2 for that. It's enjoyable. The first 6, which is what was this particularly? Oh, geez, Destiny's Path.
So like,
I mean, it was pretty good. It obviously got me pretty hooked into it, and again, it's fairly Luke and Leia centric for the most part. And you end up with Luke getting a new lightsaber that we never knew about. So I mean, I'd probably be rumbling in, you know, with like an 8.5 for that as a storyline. I'm fine with that. I don't think I have enough information to really go on for the Operation Starlight because we're only 2. Well, technically we're 3 issues deep, but for the sake of this review, we're only 2 issues deep. So I think I'd reserve that for later.
Yeah, and those 2 standalone aren't that great, so definitely couldn't review them separately.
Yeah, I think we need the entire arc to make an accurate decision on that. So what do you got then?
So I'd probably say 8.5 for the 7 and 8 arc. I did enjoy that quite a bit, but I'm definitely a Tarkin fan, so that's gonna be skewed for that reason. Destiny's Path, I'd probably give an 8 out of 10. I did enjoy that. Going back to Cloud City was pretty awesome, so definitely appreciated all that. A little bit more fleshing out with Lobot and whatnot. So
Right.
And some pretty cool force powers in the process. Definitely. For Luke at that time, those were some impressive feats, so that was pretty cool to see. So, yeah, I think we're pretty much done with this.
All right. Well, as we reminded you already in the beginning, make sure to follow us on all the social medias at TC Plan Podcast, Twitter, Facebook, or you can send us an email with any of your theories or thoughts or anything you'd like to share with us. We'll be more than happy to read those on a future episode, and that is tcplanpodcast@gmail.com. So for the Darth, I hope you have a great rest of your week.
And as always, may the Force be with you.